welcome back. I am now going to be interviewing the excellent Chris Thompson from Eagle Moss Productions, who you will know from the figurine collection. Chris, hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. All things considered, you know.
It's an odd circumstance in which we meet, but as you're looking well, you're looking healthy. This is a good thing in these times.
Yes, I'm not coughing. I don't have a fever. I'm feeling fine. So at least at the stage that you're talking to me, things are all good.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So you work for Eagle Moss. Do you want to just give me an idea, and those that are watching perhaps who don't know about the figurine collection, and you should, just give them sort of an idea of the background of how it works.
Okay, so I'm the brand manager for Hero Collector, which is essentially the pop culture hub for Eagle Moss. And so we do Doctor Who, we do Star Trek, we do Rick and Morty, we do Marvel, we do DC, we do a whole bunch of stuff. But for me, in coming to the company last year, I was particularly excited about the Doctor Who sort of material that we're doing. And I must admit, and if people don't know about it, I forgive them, because I am like a massive Doctor Who fan. I buy all the DVDs, I go to cons, I do all of this, and yet I'd never bought any or engaged at all with the figurine collection. I remember hearing about it at one point, but then, I'd sort of lost track and just forgot it existed. And it's easy to do because I think we're approaching 180 figurines at the moment, which is pretty substantial and incredible. But I think a lot of people either just missed the boat on when we started or simply forgot it's still happening. And there's so much gold in there at the moment. It's incredible the stuff we actually put out and how sort of, the minutiae and the weeds that we go into with it.
It is. I mean, it is crazy. It doesn't surprise me that you're coming up to, was it 180, something like that, did you say?
Yeah.
Because there's all that history there. We're already on the day that we're speaking. Today is the 15th anniversary of the return of the programme, let alone the history that was already there. So, from what you said, you weren't the brand manager from the start of from the launch.
No, I actually used to work for Titan Comics before this, so I was working on the Doctor Who comic range. So it was literally just sort of pulling over my knowledge and experience to this. But Doctor Who is obviously, like so many of us, something I grew up on and have stayed a fan of, through the wilderness years, through the dark times. Arguably we're in different dark times now.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. Well, this is it keeps us going. It keeps us going. I think it gives us a certain spirit of hope. I think that's at the heart of the program. So, being a brand manager, kind of day to day, what does that entail for you?
It kind of varies, but without being sort of too crude about it, I kind of consider myself a pimp for the brand. So I'm out there just trying to make people aware of what we do, what's out there. I'll be talking to other licensees. I'll be talking direct to our licensors. I'll be making contact with, fan groups and fan communities, really just finding ways to spread the word. And so some of that, a lot of it is actually just emails back and forth, chats like this, really just trying to make sure that people know we're around and finding ways to collaborate and really sort of, the high tide raises all the ships. So we just want to boost the message of all of this together. So the brand manager role can be quite weird, but a lot of it is either, very much behind the scenes or very much public facing. So it might be doing an interview like this, or being at a con, or hosting a panel and doing talks. And I think what I've tried to do over the last sort of 10 months since starting here is just ramp up the awareness of what we're doing and the fact that there's so many more new lines coming through. So outside of the figurine collection, we've brought in the Doctor Who companion set series, where we're doing classic Doctors with their companions, something that we sort of weren't able to do within the main collection, mainly because getting likenesses right and doing that sort of thing basically costs a little bit more. And so it's about maintaining a price point, but also offering something above and beyond and outside of that. So we've also started up the Time Lord box set series. So you get 2 Time Lords per set. So we started with the Curator, of course, you know, Tom Baker's return with Romana 2. And we recently announced the second one is going to be the Meddling Monk and the Master from the TV film.
Yes, I've read a lot of good feedback on that particular one. I think the Meddling Monk is an incredibly well loved character. So I think a big thumbs up from me for certain. But certain other quarters I've seen that being championed, it must be said, and of course the console collection as well.
Yeah, so the consoles have started coming out now, and so we have the first one was the 4th Doctor's console. We released then the 5th Doctor's console, you know, as seen in the 5 Doctors, and then the 1st Doctor console. And with that, we went for our first variant. So we've done a variant of that and the recent 1st Doctor set, so you can get them also in black and white. So they came out in color originally, which was fun. It's like, what color was Ian's coat in the show? Because we see it as black and white, but there was a color. You know, what color pants was Susan wearing? Things like that. And all of it we've been able to track down, find out. But then myself and a few other people in the company were like, well, you know, we did see them in black and white. Wouldn't it be great to do a version that is how you saw it? So they've literally just come out. The 1st Doctor companion set with the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan, and then the 1st Doctor console in black and white. And they're all in scale to one another, so you can actually set them up as a nice little kind of diorama of your own.
They do look lovely. The fact that they are in scale like that just works, beautifully. Absolutely beautiful.
I would show them to you right now if I could, but I'm literally waiting on mine to be delivered because they're going to be my new sort of home desk ornaments for while I'm doing this period of working at home.
As it should be. We all need a nice desk ornament. Generally speaking, this is my fave. While we're on the subject of desk ornaments, this one usually lives on my desk at work. This is my little favourite, my little Drathro, which I think is just beautiful. It's a stunning thing. How do you go in terms of references and photo references? I guess there's quite a battle on their hands depending on what era of the show. I know for something like this, there's a lot of photograph and video from all sides, you know, so there's quite a lot for this. How, for something with slightly less photographs, how on earth do people begin even thinking about sculpting something like that?
Well, I guess the thing is, for the older stuff, it's very much about getting screenshots, screen caps, whatever we can find from that time. I think as well, it's about speaking with the people who were working on the show, designing it, if they're still actually around. You know, it all depends on the era, but there's a lot of research that goes into it, and huge credit to Neil Corrie, who is the editor on this range. He has done an excellent job, you know, in terms of utilizing the contacts he already has, because, you know, so many people in the Doctor Who community already know and love him, but then actually, you know, putting that to work and finding all this stuff. The BBC are great to work with in terms of giving us access to everything they can. We have Richard Jackson on our side, who also works on the companion sets and, the Time Lord boxes, basically anything outside of the figurine collection. So there's a good team really doing the hard research, but some of it is, you know, really studying those screen caps, and then other stuff is actually being able to speak to the people who did it originally.
That's great. Fantastic stuff.
Sorry, so I was going to say, it's funny that you pointed out your Drathro there, because actually I put in a little order for stuff to arrive to populate my desk. So along with the 1st Doctor stuff, I've got my Drathro coming. And what was the other one? Oh, the giant robot, because I'd missed him first go around.
Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And that's, again, a classic design. And one of those where, in fact, the original is still with us. You know, the original still exists. In that instance, would someone work purely off photographs, or might they visit the prop itself?
I think, from what I understand, it's generally going to have been working from photographs. with the fact that exists, we can usually get extra photography done. But getting to visit them probably doesn't happen as much as we'd like. In that case, if I knew that was going on, I'd be saying, hey, I'm coming along, I'm tagging along for that one. I'll take some snaps for social media that we can share and whatever. It's like, yeah, if you can see the real robot, always see the real robot.
Absolutely right. So, it's coming across in ways very clear that you are a Doctor Who fan, but also, is that, am I guessing right, Aussie accent there?
Yes.
So, were you in Oz when you first saw Doctor Who?
Yeah, so we used to get it on the ABC, which I guess is our version of the BBC, but far less popular. I'm sure no one at the ABC is watching. But yeah, it would be on... Now, I can't remember what time of the day. I used to be able to just sort of set my life by it, essentially. But it was either 5 or 5:30, I think. Every single afternoon they would show Doctor Who. And I would tune in every day. I was obsessed. We used to get the Doctor Who annuals sent to us in Australia, so I could get all those. I'd read the Target books. Yeah, I was very much dyed in the wool. It was sort of, I started with Tom Baker, but just at the end of his tenure, so really Peter Davison is my Doctor, and he's the one that I most identify with to this day. But, they're all great, and I've come to appreciate them all.
There is, like we said, there's so much history now, and another 15 years as of the day we're talking. So how do you go about selecting what's going to be next?
Oh, that's quite a fun discussion, actually. There's obviously very set things that Neil has in mind, certain things where you go, okay, we have to do this, and so then it's a case of when the assets are available as to when they might fall in the collection. But there is also those fun little discussions in the office of like, I'd really like to see this, I'd really like to see that. Everyone's got an opinion, and kind of, rightly so, because we all love it. And it's like, oh, I really want one of those. Like, for example, there is some stuff already in the collection, and I told you before that I'd brought along some props, because I do already have desk ornaments. So I did want to show off some of them. Just again for the obscurity of the range, but
please feel free.
So one of my favorites, which is a special here, is one of the Crotons.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is, and again, it's just so amazing we did stuff like this. And the beauty of these that they work so well, like alongside the black and white figurines. They're going to go perfectly well because they're essentially monochrome as well, which is great. It was the nature of how they were making them at the time. Another one of my particular favourites that I had to have here at home is a mechanoid.
Yes, that's lovely.
That's lovely.
Yeah, as much as Peter Davison is my Doctor, I'm still very first and second Doctor oriented, actually. And then I brought along Magnus Greel, purely because Season 14 is coming out soon on Blu-ray. I'm, eagerly awaiting my copy and just watching it get pushed back by months and months. Although I guess there's a good excuse now.
Yes, there is. On this occasion, there is.
Exactly. But I went along to the BFI screening of Talons, a couple of weeks ago, just before pretty much everything was locked down. And it was great to watch again on a big screen, and it just made me go, okay, I need Magnus at home to keep me company.
Absolutely right. Any sneak previews we're allowed to know? Anything that's possibly coming up in the works?
Well, there was something we announced that kind of slipped under the radar. I think it was the Doctor Who sort of yearbook for this year, whatever it was that came out on the 2nd of January. They did a great feature on the figurine collection, and we actually sort of stealth announced in there that it's been extended to 200 issues. And people have been waiting for a long time. So when I say, hey, we're around issue 180 now, everyone was wondering, are you doing more? So yes, we are going up to 200. I think there's always these incremental increases, and if people are still buying them, then hopefully we can kind of eke it out a little further as long as the demand's there. Because at this stage you can't subscribe any longer because it's so long in the tooth. kind of Partworks format was never set up to be subscribe at any time, but we make them all available on our online store. So if you're looking for past figures, some are sold out, but a lot of them are there. Some have been reproduced, and then all the current ones as they come are still available.
It's interesting because there's generally with Partworks, we know they tend to come out in January, and the first one's always about 20 pence, and then it's all sort of goes, there's quite a cynicism, I think naturally, as a bunch of people, the British tend to be quite cynical about things anyway. Partworks seems to be a bundle of that, where we're told it's this many issues, it's going to be this many issues. However, with the Doctor Who figurine collection, I'm saying this from the point of view of a fan who loves buying the figurine collection, there's a will to kind of want it to keep going and to go on and go on. So I think there's a huge amount of goodwill, and it's funny because obviously let's not beat around the bush. It's not just a gift to fans. It's a lovely thing for fans to have, but also there's a business at the end of it, and those decisions have to be made. But I've never seen quite such a, having spoken to you today, there doesn't seem to be, other things don't seem to have that symbiotic relationship that you've got that love of the collection in the same way that we as fans do. So is there the potential, you think, then, for extending it beyond the 200?
We always hope to. It's a constant battle. It's like, can we afford to do this? Can we get assets for the things that we need? Is it possible? Is there enough demand? I'd like to think so, But that's always me, sort of my fan thing, just going, hey, I hope we can. Because I'm always bursting at the seams with but hang on, we haven't reached that person yet, or we haven't got that monster, and there really is, there's so many to do. And as you're saying, it's like I've just done all the worst things. People, don't touch your faces, okay? We've reached all these incredible characters that would never be reproduced in any other format or that anyone else would touch. It's only when you've got a line that's 200 figures long that you can do some of these obscurities. And I mean, I say 200 figures, but when I show you things like the Crotons, the Mechanoid, etc., they're actually, specials and extensions and bonus ones. So when you include all the extras we've got, there's probably close to 300 figures.
Yeah.
And when you think of it in that terms, you're really getting into minutiae, and everyone's got a weird favorite. And so ideally we want to cover them all, and this is the collection that can do that. So I guess we always hope to keep going, but as you say, it does come down to a financial thing, but there's so many fans within the company arguing to go, how far down to the bone can we take this to keep it going, and we do our best.
It's brilliant. Well, I mean, I adore it. One of my other faves I've bought with me from the same season. This says a lot about me. I love me some Colin. A Vervoid. Something like that I find fascinating. The level of detail. And again, you were just saying things that you would never see in any other range. And you're quite right. I can't, as much as I might love a full action figure of a Vervoid, I don't think I'm ever really going to get that in real life. So this is beautiful. This is a lovely thing to have. What's behind the actual physical making of these? Where are these being sculpted? Who's involved in that whole process?
Okay, so we have our own team of sculptors that we work with, and then in terms of the actual production, it's happening in China, as many things are, or perhaps not as frequently at the moment, but as much as they can be doing it. But everything is crafted then in resin and actually hand painted, and that's why you'll find there's a slight difference between each of them.
And lovely things they are. I mean, I adore them, and I'm now going to go and have a look on the website very shortly. But go and have a browse, see what else has come back into stock. Before we go, I have to ask: is there any one item that you've not yet produced in the collection that would be your dream figurine?
My dream figurine is coming. That's all I can
Okay.
say. That's all I can say. I know that much. It's coming.
Okay.
That actually has nothing to do with me. It was already in the pipeline, but it is coming. So I'm very happy about that. The other thing to plug, you were sort of saying, is there anything else I can mention or talk about? And I guess we've spoken about the figurine collection, but actually we do a lot more Doctor Who stuff that we've expanded into this year. Very exciting stuff. So we started up a thing called the Doctor Who Chibi range, which are essentially sort of, cute little versions of the Doctors and their enemies and aliens that are available as pin badges. They're on T-shirts. They're on socks now. They're quite gorgeous. It was great. When I went along to the BFI, I actually saw a few people wearing the shirts and with the pins and stuff like that.
Yes.
I took a handful to give out and things like that. So it was good. The other one is the Doctor Who Episodic Collection, which has started as T-shirts. Essentially, it's sort of a T-shirt of the month. Not a subscription. It's just there to go on and buy as you feel. We're going to extend that into having prints and also mugs with those on it. But it's basically sort of getting, top artists and going, what would you do as kind of your design or movie poster for this classic storyline?
Absolutely right.
So for those who know Ryan Hughes, who's a very famous designer and comic artist, we went to him and said, hey, what would you do for Tomb of the Cybermen? He came up with the most incredible thing that sort of riffs on their seal. It's gorgeous work. We've worked with a bunch of different artists, some who are very familiar with Doctor Who, like Adrian Salmon, who's done the comic in the magazine many times. We've worked with Karen Hallian, who's a US artist, huge fan base. She does a lot of great stuff for Doctor Who and Star Wars. So we've done things with her, with a guy called Robert Hack, very big comic artist, did the Afterlife with Archie and then the Sabrina stuff. And actually, if anyone's seen Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, all that intro is based on his art. He has this great style.
Okay.
Yeah, but he loves classic Doctor Who. So he's done one of the War Machines that is coming out soon. And he's done one for Blink in this beautiful sort of pulpy style that's perfectly fitting for that. So those are all available on the site. And honestly, they're gorgeous. Like the Episodic Collection T-shirts are smashing. If I hadn't been wearing mine already this week and not planning for us to talk, then, they wouldn't be in the wash and I would have it on now. But, yeah, I apologize. I didn't plan ahead.
There's very little planning ahead going on at the moment, I think, and I think we're all excused. Chris, it's been absolutely lovely to talk to you. Sounds like there's some nice things in the pipeline, even if we can't say what they are just yet.
Yes.
But it would be lovely to talk again, so if we get the opportunity, we shall do that. Failing that, I will see you at the BFI at some point, no doubt.
Yes, well, I guess we haven't heard yet, but if Utopia is going ahead in June, I will be there. Or I will be at home Skyping in for something like this. That's an alternative.
Either way, we will chat again and we will revisit some of these revelations. But in the meantime, thank you ever so much. Ladies and gentlemen at home, I'm trying to get everyone to do this. Ladies and gentlemen at home, please give a huge round of applause for Chris Thompson. Thank you ever so much. Take care.